We good to go? Testing, 1, 2, 3. All right, let's start over again. So welcome guys, this is a class on money management. We're going to talk about increasing your income, increasing your savings, how money works, how to create a budget, and most importantly, how to put more zeros, more money in your bank accounts. Now, how many of you guys have bank accounts? Josh, everyone here got bank accounts. Do you guys want more money in that bank account? How do you do it? There's multiple ways, and we're going to discuss the ways you can make money, ways people make money. That's stocks, money from the government. Government handouts is a way to make money, guys. I don't like doing business that way, but people make a whole living off the government. Then there's real estate, there's a job, there's banking and loan, there's business and royalties. These are 7 different ways that you can make money. That's income. Before we go and discuss the ways to make more money, we're going to talk about habits. Now, there's good habits with money that lead to more wealth, but there's also poor habits which lead to being broke. Does that make sense? All right. So what are some bad habits that you've seen people do with money? Any bad habits? Joshua? Or Jake?
Spending their money right away?
Oh yeah, compulsive buying. Yeah, they spend it right away. So that's a bad habit, number 1. Compulsive buying, compulsive purchases. It's a person who feels like they gotta buy it. It's on sale, I got a coupon, it expires in 3 days. I have to spend that money. It's a real thing. What else? Bad habit number 1, compulsive buying.
Gambling.
Gambling, yes. Gambling kind of falls into the character. Gambling in and of itself isn't bad. I would say addiction. Picking up addictions, whether it be gambling, smoking, drugs. It's really an unhealthy relationship when you break down to it, but we'll just call it addiction. You want to lose all your money really quickly? Grab an addiction. Doesn't matter what it is. It could be coffee. It could be social media. It could be food, which is a terrible addiction to have because you need food, but some people are addicted to food. What's another bad habit? I was going to bring it out.
Credit cards.
Credit cards. Getting into debt using credit. That's borrowing money that you don't have. That's a terrible habit.
Don't we need credit cards?
No, you can go your whole life without ever having a credit card and you'll be just fine.
Then how do you get a house?
That's another question. We're going to talk about, that's a business, or that's real estate. We're going to cover real estate in a second. All right? So, bad habits, compulsive buying, addiction, credit. Any other ideas? Any other questions? Bad habits with money.
Investment? But like if the business isn't like, kind of like in stocks, like you put your money somewhere like, and it doesn't increase, so you just basically lose all your money.
Poor investments. Because good investments are worth keeping, right? But poor investments are not. And investments is huge, guys. I want you to write down the word investment. The reason why I don't like doing free classes is because people don't have to invest anything, and when people don't have to invest in anything, they don't take very good care of whatever they receive. So if I'm giving someone my time, and I don't charge for it, which I don't ever charge for my time, then they waste my time. That's often what happens. And so we're going to cover that. That's not such a bad habit, but that's poor investment. There's one other thing that people, a bad habit that people have. Relationships. Unhealthy relationships. Oh my Lord. Whew, man. Unhealthy relationships will lead you to spend more money than anything else. I tell my children and all my friends and anyone who will listen to me that the biggest financial decision you ever make, the biggest financial investment you ever make will be with your spouse, the person you decide to marry, if you decide to get married, which is a great investment, but it's a very expensive one if it's an unhealthy relationship. Bad habits. I hope you guys understand that no matter what you take away from this, if you keep these bad habits, compulsive purchasing, addiction, getting into debt with credit cards, you make poor investments or unhealthy relationships, it will lead to a loss of income and inevitably poverty. All right, those are the bad habits. Now let's get into good wealth building habits. Dun, dun, dun. What are some good habits?
Budgeting.
Budgeting. Do you know what budgeting is, guys? Do you know what a budget is?
Breaking down your money into certain like categories. No.
It is. It's breaking down your money into certain categories. It's actually a plan. It's a business plan, because there's plenty of people who can break down their money and say, oh, this is what I spent on my gambling and this is what I spent on my compulsive buying. But if you allocate a plan saying I'm only going to spend $20 a week on Uber drivers because I can sometimes get lazy and I don't want to walk. Or I'm only going to spend $10 a day on going out to eat. That's a type of budgeting, and if you want to increase your wealth, Joshua, Jake, you have to budget. So that's number one. What's another good habit? Saving. Oh, yeah. Saving. Give an example of saving. Joshua, what's an example of saving?
Not spending your money often.
Mm-hmm. You're a conscious person that you're not going to spend your money all the time. You're actually going to save that money up to spend it on something important. Because let me tell you, there's no point of having a bunch of money if you don't do anything with it, which is why you have investments. You just don't want to make poor investments. So savings. What's another good habit? A good habit when it comes to increasing your wealth. You could actually look across from all these and see. If you're compulsive, you're not sticking with your budget. If you are addicted to something, you will not be able to save. Addictions will destroy your savings account. What about credit?
Debit.
Use cash. If you have cash, spending your cash money, you will actually spend less. There's been studies that if you pull out your card or you put it on your phone, your Apple Pay, and you do it, you'll actually spend 100 times more than what you would spend if you use cash. Crazy how these habits, it's such a nice dichotomy. It's polarizing. Going to credit, well, what's the opposite of credit? You use cash, you use the money you already have. What's the opposite of a poor investment? A good investment. Investing in the stock market in solid, strong companies like Costco. I probably shouldn't mention any names because I'm going to use this. But investing in strong companies, that's a good investment. Investing in good companies, that's a good investment. So, yeah, good investments. Ooh, and we talked about, Joanna, great call on the relationships. What's the opposite of unhealthy relationship? A healthy relationship. Yay! It's that simple, guys. How many of us, and you don't have to say it, know people that struggle with compulsive buying, that struggle with an addiction, whether it be sugar or social media? They got to do something. They have to go to their addiction. You can see they're controlled by something. They never use cash, but they love to spend credit. They make poor investments all the time. They've never learned how to decide what's the difference between a good investment or a bad investment. And a lot of people think that while everyone's investing in Airbnbs, or everyone's investing in Tesla, or everyone's investing in Bitcoin, that's the best time to invest. Oftentimes, guys, Joshua, Jake, this is gold right here. The best investments are a secret. Very few people know what a good investment is. Because if everyone knew it was a good investment, people would be investing in it. Now back to healthy relationships. Healthy relationships are difficult because you often only know what you know. So let me ask you, Jake, if you're around a bunch of savers, do you think you're going to spend more or save more?
Save more.
Joshua, if you're around a bunch of people who don't have control on their spending, do you think that you will have an easier time controlling your spending or a more difficult time? If everyone struggles with spending and you hang out with them, do you think that will help you with your spending, or it will be a struggle? It'll be a struggle. Our relationships, who we spend time with, will often be a reflection of what we're doing financially. Those are the habit, the breakdown. So whatever I share with you next, if you stick with the bad habits, the money will not come. And if you stick with the good habits, even if you don't do everything by the book, and by the way, I'm a big advocate of reading books about money. Just know that what works for this person may not work for you. Your habits will make or break you. Does that make sense? Any questions? Awesome. All right. So we're going to talk about money management. We're going to break it down in less than 5 minutes. So let's get started. Stocks and bonds. Stocks have come about because people want to invest in retirements. They want to own a part of a company. That's how stocks work. People own a part of a company. So when that company does well, the value of that company increases. And if you own a stock, which is a small percentage of that company, or big, then your value goes up. I own a company called Zen's Tea House. And when that company does better, the value of that company increases, and the amount of stock I own increases my value. Does that make sense, Joshua, Jake? What's a stock? It's a piece of ownership of the company. Now, money is paper, metal, coins, and bills. This is actually kind of something that promotes inflation. We're not going to talk too much about it, but when a government prints too much money or doesn't do a good job in managing how much money they create, it creates inflation. Inflation is when the cost of everything goes up. And the cost of a $5 book now becomes $10 because the dollar decreased in value. We're actually experiencing this right now with eggs. And eggs is not a response to the dollar increasing or decreasing. It's because there's less eggs being produced, so the prices are inflated. That's a whole other subject about money management, but if you're going to learn about how to manage money, understand there's this ancient rule. Please write it down, guys. Please write this down. Every socialist will not promote this. Any Marxist will not promote this, but every capitalist understands this statement. Supply and demand.
Oh.
It's called supply and demand. When the demand is higher than the supply, that supply item increases in value. And when there's a bunch of books and no one wants to buy it, the value of the book decreases. Real estate. How much land is there in the world right now? Do you guys know? Not enough? It's not enough for everyone to own beachside property, right? Here in Southern California. There's just not enough beachfront property. Real estate. It's about there's three factors when it comes to investing in good real estate. Location, location, location. When you guys learn about real estate, I want you to understand, to make good financial decisions, it's all about the location and owning the real estate. All right, now jobs. Easy question. Do you want a good paying job or a poor paying job? A good paying job. Are good paying jobs easier to get or harder to get than poor paying jobs? It's harder. Yeah, to get an engineering job or very expensive is very difficult. And that's not because the demand isn't there or there's excess supply. There's just not enough people know how to do that. So when it comes to getting a good job, get a job that not a lot of people can do. If you find a job and you're working at a little restaurant, the more things you can do, the more valuable you are. The more jobs you can do, the more money you can make. And if you're really, 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 really good at that job, you can get paid a lot of money for it. You can, doesn't mean you will. I know plenty of great musicians that make very little money. That's because the demand for music, good quality music, is very low because there's a huge supply of a bunch of people who know how to make music. Jobs. You want a good job and want to make a lot of money? Do a really, really, really good job and be able to do multiple things. Also, speaking multiple languages helps with a job. Now, it doesn't matter what language you speak. Banks and loans, it's universal. It's called money. If you know how to work in the banking industry, loaning your money out, let's say you have so much money saved up and you want to make money utilizing that money, you lend it out. Saying, hey, you need to borrow a car, you need to buy a car? Well, I'll loan you out some of my money, but here's the thing, you got to pay me back all that money until I get that money back, and then I'm going to charge you extra money. So I'm making money loaning my money. Does that make sense? Now, I like to use a car because you can get the title of that car and you can own it. You don't just loan money without having collateral. It's like, I'm going to loan you my book. I'm going to loan you money, but I'm going to keep your book as compensation. Banks do that all the time. They don't loan money to poor people that don't own anything, but they love to loan money to people who have a house or they have friends who own houses. That's banking and loans. Joshua, Jake, does that make sense? You can make money loaning out your money. You can increase your savings. By the way, putting your money in the savings account typically doesn't make you a lot of money. Banks, they make money by taking the money that's in the bank account and loaning it to someone else. That's literally how banks make their money. Now business. Everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. No one wants to deal with the headache of owning your own business. Guys, I'm not going to talk too much about it, but if you want to make as much money as you could ever make, there's no limitations to how much money you can make or how little you can work. It's owning your own business. Isn't that crazy? But just make sure it's a good investment, because you might invest in an industry that's not all that profitable. And what are the two things that I said? If no matter what you walk away with, supply and demand. When there's a bunch of coffee shops, the demand is very low. But when there's a few coffee shops, the demand is higher. Supply and demand.
How long is the average time it takes to concept to opening up on average? I know it depends, but...
Yeah, a lot of people want to be able to start an online business. Online business is the most cost effective. It's the cheapest point of entry. Online business will take about however many hours, I would say. Depends on what you're selling, but I can tell you that I built my online business and I made a profit within 7 months. Yeah, I started my tea company and I made a profit within about 8 months. A lot of poor investments I made on that front end when I started. Now royalties. Guys, royalties are huge. I said I'm not going to promote my company. But there's this thing called trademarks. Rich dad, poor dad. When you trademark something, it's called intellectual property. You own the art, you own the song, and every time someone uses it, you get paid for it. You guys like movies? Name a movie. Minions. So let's say you make a movie and it's just like Minions. And now someone wants to make a little doll of Minions. Someone wants to make toys of Minions. Wants to make books of Minions. Guess what? The person who owns the royalties gets paid every time that Minion is bought. Yeah. Royalties. Batman. A lot of royalties off that. You guys know the movie Rocky?
We haven't watched it.
No, there's this like old TV movie that showed. There's a movie that came out in the 70s, and it was based off of a real live boxer. And the deal was, the boxer was approached by Sylvester Stallone and said, look, I'll pay you X amount of money, or I can give you royalties. If the business does well, you'll make money. The business did really, really well. And the boxer said, I'm not interested in the royalties. I just want the cash. Do you think that was a poor investment or a good investment?
Poor investment.
Yeah. I mean, he made money. You know, his story was turned into a movie, tons of movies and books. But that's how royalties works. Those are the 7 ways you can make income. Royalties, being a business owner, loaning out your money, a job, which is what most people do. Real estate, owning real estate. And there's different types of real estate, but we'll just keep it as physical real estate because royalties is kind of is an intellectual real estate. Money, government loans, giving out product, that's a way you can make money off the government, which is just another type of job. It's a little more complicated. And then stocks, owning a part of a company.
Would you categorize inheritance as money making, or does that fall into royalties?
An inheritance is kind of like, inheritance is a gift. So you're not making it. You know, you can't control your inheritance. You know, someone else invested money, and that money paid off to where that person who's inheriting gained the money. That's a result of good investments and savings. The person budgeted their life saying, I'm going to leave some money aside for my loved ones or to my charity. All right, if you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you like more videos like this, comment below and tell me which one of these topics you want to learn more about.